Welcome back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen. Today we're going to show you how easy it is to make a simple roast chicken. So I've already taken the chicken out of its wrapper, and you want to pat dry with a paper towel just so all the moisture from the packaging is eliminated. Ugh, strange suctioning sound. Okay, we're going to need a second one for this one. Alright, so the chicken's relatively dry. And then what we're going to do next, I'm going to take off my gloves for a second so I don't cross-contaminate my spices. We're going to use a combination of seasoned salt, and we're going to combine it all into a little condiment dish. And this is one of my favorites, roasted garlic and herb. And then this all-purpose Saison seasoning. Goes great on everything. So I just shake maybe a half a teaspoon of each, and maybe like a teaspoon of seasoned salt. And then just kind of shake it to mix. And then some extra virgin olive oil. I put it in the other condiment cup. Probably about a tablespoon altogether. And then I'm going to put some fresh gloves on, as I don't like touching raw meat because it just feels icky. And plus, for cross-contamination purposes, it keeps your hands clean. For some reason, they make the base of the fingers more narrow than the tips. I don't know whose hands they modeled these gloves on, but they didn't have normal proportions. But anyway, so first, you always want to check and see if there's any innards in the chicken. And this one doesn't have any innards. See the cavity? Just make sure they don't have the, I call them the spare parts. The
spare parts.
The liver, heart, kidneys. And then I like to cut off the fat pad by the chicken's back end because it just makes the broth really greasy for the chicken. And you don't really need it because there's plenty of grease in the rest of the chicken skin.
What do you usually do with it when you're done with it?
Well, I freeze it in a baggie and save it for trash day. Because anything that's going to be smelly or meat based, I put in the freezer until trash day. So you're going to give the chicken a nice massage, rub it all over with oil, just so it kind of glistens. Put the rest of the oil on the back side. And then I'm going to take the seasoning and put it on there and just kind of pat it on, rub it in, and then you're going to flip the chicken over a little bit, rub it on the back side of the chicken, like so. Then we're going to transfer Little Miss Chicken into the baking dish. And you always want to tuck the wings behind the chicken's head because the wing tips can get too done and they can sometimes scorch.
Oh, okay.
And then just put the rest of the chicken on here. The rest of the seasoning on the chicken. Yeah, we'll put the chicken on the seasoning. And just rub it like that. Kind of rub it into its skin. It's very simple to make a tasty roast chicken. Just a little bit of oil. You can even use canola oil, vegetable oil. I just prefer olive oil because I like it adds a little bit more flavor to it. And so pretty much your chicken's ready to go in the oven. And for some reason, the lid to this dish has taken leave of the cabinet, so it has disappeared. So I'm just going to loosely cover it so that way it doesn't get dried out in the oven. And it's still got some room for air at either end. And then we're going to bake it at 350 for about an hour and a half. The longer you bake it, the more tender it gets. And then that's pretty much it. And then we'll be back in just a little bit and I'll show you one of our favorite side dishes for this, which is Parmesan potatoes. Welcome back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen. We're going to show you how to prepare Parmesan potatoes. And your best potato for this is a thin-skinned potato, either the white potatoes or red potatoes. And it also works for regular old russet potatoes. You just got to scrub them really well, and then you could leave the skins on. Because the skins on, it makes it kind of like it's crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. So, what we're going to do first is get our pan prepared in just a little bit of olive oil. Then I'm going to use this brush to evenly spread the oil all over the pan. You don't want too much because it gets greasy, but you want enough so that the potatoes don't stick and they form a nice crust. So just paint the oil on the pan. And this is a stoneware bar pan that I've had for a while, so it's well seasoned.
Can you do it on other bar pans?
Yeah, and if you use it on a cookie sheet, I would suggest putting foil on it and then brushing it with oil along with the seasonings like I do on this version of it. So, like we used before, I'm going to use some of the roasted garlic and herb seasoning. So you put your seasonings on the pan first. Just going to use probably the rest of this container, because we want a well seasoned potato. And then a little bit of garlic powder. So you're pretty much seasoning your pan.
She's eating a plastic spoon.
It's okay. And then a little bit of seasoned salt. Garlic salt, my other favorite seasoning. And then the Parmesan, the key ingredient to the Parmesan potatoes. And this is something we like to go with dishes such as roast chicken or chicken legs or even meatloaf. It's just a good side dish.
And spaghetti?
Well, potatoes and spaghetti?
Oh, I was going to say with the
Parmesan.
Yeah. So basically you're going to cut your potatoes this way. So you have them flat side down. So see the way you cut your potato down the hemisphere? And then put them face down on the sheet.
Oh, you put them face down?
Yeah, that way the seasoning gets on the cut part. So this is where the seasoning is going to end up. And this is about a 3-pound bag of potatoes, I think. That's about what fits on this pan. And you want to start with a clean potato, which is what I did on the break. I cleaned the potatoes and cut off their eyes because they didn't need them anymore. We have Dahlia with us here today.
Our mascot is here.
She loves to watch me cook, so I guess I could have named her Ratatouille because she loves to watch. And she has this little alcove between the cutting board, where I sometimes prepare food, and the countertop, and she hides back there, and I have these little eyes looking up at me from the corner of the counter, watching every move I make.
We were trying to keep her corralled, but
She wanted to be out with us, so it's all good. So this is kind of a snug fit for 3 pounds of potatoes, but it comes out really well this way. They cook better if they're all close together. And I'm going to put a tiny bit more olive oil on the backs of the potatoes, and then spread it around with the brush.
Get them nice and greasy.
It makes for a crisper crust if you oil your potatoes on their jackets. Just makes them taste better because they get crispy on the outside and they're tender on the inside. And then the Parmesan part gets all golden and crispy and tasty. And then we're going to just add these to the oven where our roast chicken is already cooking. So you can cook these at 350 if you're cooking other meat at 350. You can also cook them at 400 because sometimes potatoes do better at a higher temperature because they get crisper on the outside and soft on the inside. But if your oven's already at 350 for a meat main dish that you're cooking, you can just put it in at that same temperature. So these need at least 30 minutes to cook, and you want to peek in at them after 30 minutes and see if they're golden. Just use a spatula and lift them up because the Parmesan part will be nice and golden when they're ready to eat. So that's it for our Parmesan potatoes, and when everything's done, we'll get back with you and show you how everything looks. And now we're back, and both the chicken and the potatoes are done. The potatoes finished ahead of the chicken, so I covered them with a sheet pan to hold in the heat and keep out the dog. And to look at our...
Explain why we have to keep out the dog.
Our dog is a foodie. And we have to keep things covered up, hidden, concealed, invisible even for this dog.
Yeah, or else she'll get fatter than she already is.
Alright. So here's our lovely potatoes. The jackets are nice and shiny, and they shrunk in a little bit and they're crispy. And look at the Parmesan and all the seasonings. Got a nice soft potato with a crisp exterior. And for our chicken, we had to adjust the time a little bit because cooking is not an exact science. It's kind of, you just got to check it as you go. So you need to have a good meat thermometer, and poultry needs to come to 185 degrees internally. And the best thing to do is to stick it deep in the side of the chicken or close to the thigh, because that's the most dense part of the meat. So now that it's 185 degrees, I took it out of the oven, and
So it's not the breast, it's the thigh you want to like.
right, it's the thigh and the joints. So the best guideline for roasting a chicken would be covered for an hour at 350, and then when you add your potatoes, turn the oven up to 425, and then cook for another 40 minutes or so without a cover on the chicken. So that way you can get this nice golden skin. Because covering up the chicken is good to keep the heat in and cook it internally, and then you do want to take the cover off so the skin can brown. So that's what it looks like. So I'm going to take the thermometer out, and then I'm going to show you all what this looks like on the inside. So if you want to zoom in close.
Nice and close.
So we got a nice crisp skin. And look, it's nice and steaming. Beautiful white breast meat. Nice and roasted.
Even the dog's like, that sounds good. That smells so good.
So look, we got the nice breast meat and a nice crisp skin. So that's how you make a nice roast chicken. An hour covered at 350 degrees, and then an additional 40 minutes at 425, and then just take its temperature with a meat thermometer to make sure that the internal temperature is 185. Because chicken is prone to having salmonella and any other foodborne illnesses and diseases. So just make sure it comes to temperature to make sure it's properly cooked. So that is our roasted chicken and Parmesan potatoes. And in the meantime, we cooked up some frozen corn to go as a side dish. Because chicken, potatoes, and corn make a good combination. Just ask Colonel Sanders. So, anyway, well, we're going to get to eating, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.